Officer Lila Brooks's words cracked through Willow Falls apothecary like a pistol shot. Old hustler, thought you'd fool us with that grandfather act. Her palms smashed Harold Spencer's paper bag, sending amber pill bottles skittering across the tile. The 69-year-old stepped back, cane wobbling, as Brooks's partner, Officer Ramon Cortez, yanked his arms behind him. Arthritis medication crunched under Brooks's boot, the label with Harold's name smeared beneath the rubber sole. Customers gasped. A child started to cry. No one in that pharmacy, least of all the swaggering officers, knew Harold's only child was Special Agent Naomi Spencer, a rising star on the FBI's Public Corruption Task Force, and that she never ignored her father's morning check-in text. 2 hours earlier the day had been painfully ordinary. Harold had driven his moss-green Cadillac to the same parking space he'd used for 20 years, waved to Mrs. Chu at the cash register, and tapped his coupon book like a metronome while he waited for his refill. The Tennessee sun slanted through dusty blinds, ceiling fans rattled softly. Then Brooks and Cortez walked in. New transfers, dark uniforms still creased, predatory eyes already hunting. When Harold bent to slide a buy-one-get-one voucher into his wallet, Cortez muttered, concealing contraband. They shadowed him down every aisle, hands near tasers. At the counter, Mrs. Chu slid his arthritis pills across. Brooks blocked the handoff. Empty your pockets, old man. Harold's jaw set. Ma'am, I taught history in this town for 42 years. I won't be searched like a thief. Brooks grinned. History lessons over. She spun him toward stacked gauze boxes, metal shelf edges biting his ribs. Zip ties clicked. Someone lifted a phone to record. Cortez confiscated it with practice speed. Out front, the cruiser's lights painted red against the store's brick. Brooks paraded Harold past stunned regulars. Distribution of narcotics, she announced. Streets are safer now. Harold caught Mrs. Chu's horrified eyes, managed a half-smile the way he'd smiled at scared fourth-graders decades ago. Sergeant Malik Johnson was reviewing overtime rosters when the booking desk door slammed and Brooks strutted in. Harold's cheek was bleeding. Sergeant, Brooks barked, Major bust. Johnson frowned. What evidence? Prescription bottles, suspicious demeanor. Johnson's lips compressed. He recognized Harold, had shaken the man's hand at a veteran's breakfast last month. Still, he scanned the intake log. No probable cause notation, no field test, no dispatch reference. Before he could object, Chief Wade Brennan strode from his upstairs office. Silver hair, white shirt starched stiff, smile thin as a scalpel. Excellent initiative, officers, Brennan boomed. Sergeant, process Mr. Spencer immediately. We'll hold until the lab confirms Schedule 2. Johnson opened his mouth, closed it, and watched Harold guided toward a cell. 500 miles away in Quantico, Agent Naomi Spencer wrapped up a cartel finance briefing. Her phone buzzed. 3 missed calls, all from a Willow Falls number. The voicemail from Sergeant Johnson was short and raw. Your father's been arrested. Something's wrong. They won't release him. Naomi felt the room tilt. Words from her childhood, her father's calm baritone, floated up. Stand tall, even if the room is crooked. The meeting adjourned, she said, already packing. By late afternoon, she was in a rented Charger, barreling down 1 to 40, laptop open on the passenger seat. She pulled property tax rolls, campaign donations, rehab center ownership records. A pattern emerged. Dozens of elderly defendants, charges dropped after a night in jail, on the condition they voluntarily entered ClearPath Wellness, a pricey private program. ClearPath's largest shareholder, a Shell LLC traced to Chief Brennan's brother-in-law. For each arrest, the department logged seized opioids, then billed state forfeiture funds when the suspect couldn't pay lab fees. Lab results always returned unidentified white tablet, presumptive positive, never a final tox report. Naomi's knuckles whitened on the wheel. Crooked room, indeed. At the station, Harold sat on a hard bench, wrists swollen from zip ties. Sergeant Johnson slipped him a paper cup of water and whispered, Internal Affairs reviewer arrives at 8. Hold on. But at 7:30, the reviewer suddenly resigned. Brennan marched downstairs waving a warrant to search Harold's house for prescription caches. He'd already assigned Brooks and Cortez to conduct the raid. Harold felt, for the first time in his life, a ripple of raw fear. Naomi's Charger skidded into Willow Falls City parking at 9. She flashed her badge so hard at the night clerk the plastic creaked. Chief Brennan met her in the lobby, a fox smile on his lips. Agent Spencer, conflict of interest, your family. Might want to stand clear of this investigation. Naomi spoke quietly. Release Harold now, or tomorrow morning I'll bring the DOJ, the press, and subpoenas for every sealed evidence locker you've got. Brennan's smile widened. See you in court, ma'am. The raid on Harold's house began at 9:15 p.m. Porch lights up and down Magnolia Lane flicked on as neighbors watched Brooks drag boxes labeled evidence to the cruiser. Harold's late wife's keepsakes, his dog's arthritis pills, anything with a pharmacy label, went into baggies. Inside the cell, Harold felt his chest tighten in panic he refused to show. Asterisk stand tall, even if the room is crooked. Sergeant Johnson texted Naomi the moment the raid started. She forwarded his video clip of officers stuffing a jewelry box into an evidence bag straight to her task force director. At 11 p.m., she stood in a motel room lit by a single lamp, briefing 5 DOJ officials over encrypted video. This is RICO, civil rights abuse, medical fraud, she argued. I have probable cause, a whistleblower inside, and victims ready. Can you hold it until dawn? The deputy director asked. I can hold, Naomi said. Not sure my father's heart can. In the county hospital ER, Harold lay on a gurney, cuffs replaced by heart monitors. The stress had triggered arrhythmia. Brooks stood in the doorway smirking until Naomi arrived, clipped an FBI lanyard around her neck, and said, Officer, leave. Now. Something in her eyes made even Brooks back out. Harold's eyelids fluttered. You made it, pumpkin, he rasped. Rest, Dad. Dawn's coming. When he slipped into medicated sleep, Naomi opened his phone, miraculously not seized, and found something she hadn't expected. A video in the deleted folder automatically synced from his cloud. It showed Brooks smashing the pill bag, Cortez bending to find tablets he himself had dropped. Harold must have activated pocket recording during the scuffle. Naomi felt electricity surge through her veins. 4:55 a.m. The quiet before Tennessee sunrise. Unmarked Suburbans slid into Willow Falls like sharks beneath glassy water. DOJ agents, FBI teams, and 2 Tennessee Bureau of Investigation auditors fanned out. Sergeant Johnson, already in uniform, opened the Sallyport door from inside. At 5 a.m. sharp, Chief Brennan's office door splintered inward. You can't, he began. Special Agent Martinez flashed her warrant. We can, and we are. Downstairs, Brooks and Cortez were still laughing over styrofoam coffee when federal agents pinned them to the tiles they'd walked on with so much swagger. Evidence techs pried open locker C-12. Inside, dozens of identical bags tagged unidentified white tablets, all logged before arrest times. A digital timestamp for Harold's pills read 9:13 a.m., 7 minutes before he entered the pharmacy. By mid-morning, every local station had cut to live coverage. Handcuffed officers filed into SU versus. Chief Brennan, pale and sweating, tried to hide his face. Residents lined Main Street, filming with the same phones once confiscated. Naomi stood on the courthouse steps, her arm around Harold, who wore a pressed flannel Mrs. Chu had fetched from his house. Reporters shouted questions. Naomi held up Harold's phone. This recording shows the moment evidence was planted, she said. Willow Falls citizens deserve better. Behind her, the DOJ deputy director announced a federal oversight panel, restitution fund for victims, and immediate dismissal of all tainted charges. Harold heard gasps as the scale of the conspiracy spilled out. ClearPath wellness kickbacks, forged lab slips, quotas to target fixed incomes. The crooked room was finally being demolished. But Willow Falls was still a town of people who baked casseroles and mowed each other's lawns. 3 days later, when Harold was discharged, he found his driveway clogged with neighbors bearing pies, replacement pill bottles, and a handmade sign, Spencer Strong. That evening, the city council voted unanimously to rename the community reading room the Harold Spencer Learning Corner. The first book shelved was his own worn copy of Why Honesty Matters, pages underlined from decades of lesson plans. Naomi watched her father run a trembling hand over the brass plaque. Did the room get straighter? He joked, eyes shining. Maybe, she said. Or maybe we just finally stood tall enough to see it right. A storm had swept Willow Falls, but dawn's sunlight now poured through every broken ceiling tile, and no one hurried to patch the holes. They wanted the light to keep pouring in, even if it showed things long hidden. Harold thought that was a fine idea. He slipped an arm through his daughter's and stepped over the shattered threshold, cane tapping, one steady beat ahead of the past.